Hello YouTube, welcome to a brand new video, and today we're talking about Biden's border crisis that nobody seems to be talking about. One little quick snippet before we start. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in the past 5 days. I've had a few things going on in my life that, kind of overruled the YouTube channel, and I had to take care of them. But, it's 10:44 at night, and I'm on my laptop, and I felt maybe I could get a few videos done. So this is the first video. I think I'm just going to work on videos until like 12 and go to bed because I have school tomorrow. But expect more episodes daily for the past next few weeks as they were before I had to take my break. But, so, big news. The Biden admin's kind of denying there's a border crisis, even though there is. I mean, according to the Center for Disaster Philanthropy, 2 million migrants to the U.S.-Mexico border are expected by the end of the fiscal year, which will be a record high. Which, if you look at the pictures, is way worse than Trump's. People always said Trump was inhumane. People always said there's a huge border crisis under Trump, right? And they needed to be humanitarian to help Trump, right? Or not help Trump, but stop evil Trump from taking these unaccompanied children. Even though there's more than 200,000 unaccompanied children at the border right now. What's the Biden administration doing about it? Absolutely nothing. There's been no changes from the Trump admin, except for the name, from border detention, I think it was first called, to containers. Containment centers. That's it. Literally the same system. The way I think we should do it is we should just turn away at the border. Unless they have the papers to properly, say they legally, immigrated, they should just be turned away at the border. It should just be as easy as that. But going back to the CDP, I'm going to call it, the bullet. So, reading this little part of the article they have, according to a CNN review of an internal government document, the U.S. is on track to encounter more than 2 million migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border by the end of the fiscal year, which will be a record high. Data reviewed by CNN shows up that 1.1 million single adults are expected through September, along with up to 828,000 families and more than 200,000 unaccompanied children. Border Patrol encounters are expected to continue to rise month by month. According to the projections, which can vary, the last time Border Patrol apprehensions surpassed 1 million was in the fiscal year 2006. According to publicly available data from Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol arrests climbed during the 2019 border crisis, but also fell short of 900,000. Again, this is 100,000 more than the Trump admin, and they're not doing anything about it. Kamala Harris, the vice president, is denying there's a crisis at the border. There's a crisis. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, famously seen for taking pictures crying at an empty parking lot, she said there's no problem. This is the Democrats we live with today. They just do everything to further their own agenda. It's not about to help these migrants. No, it's not. It's about to help the party. Again, they don't put people over party. It's party over people. AOC is a self-identified democratic socialist. Socialist, people. This kind of unacceptable. I mean, of course, you can't silence them or anything, because, you have your First Amendment right, but we shouldn't accept this from any politician. This saying is a huge problem and doing nothing about it. It's just terrible, especially from the leaders of our country, especially from the president, the vice president. Terrible. So going on to the second article, The southern border of the U.S. has been a crossing point for people coming from Mexico or through Mexico from other countries into the U.S. while asylum seeking and border crossings are often identified as a problem with Mexican immigrants. From 2000 to 2016, unlawful Mexican immigration dropped off by almost 90%. Instead, most of these individuals came from the northern triangle of Central America, Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. In all these countries, the U.S. foreign policy and investments were in brutal regimes in the 1980s Cold War created climates that became rife with violence and distress that continues today. So, by the way, from Mexico, the biggest issue right now, it dropped off by 90%. And it only came from the, Southern Triangle, I think they called it. The Northern Triangle of Central America. Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. That was when the all immigrants came. That's where it all came from. And now 90% of them come from Mexico. And people say there isn't a problem. Come on. As in the words of, their all-hailed God president. Come on, man. Like, seriously. This is an issue you need to address. Biden, Mr. President, I saw that you plan on finishing the border wall, and thank you for that. At least you're doing something positive about it. But you have to at least acknowledge it's a problem. You can't just do it quietly, you know what I mean? On March 24th, 2021, President Biden appointed Vice President Kamala Harris to lead efforts to coordinate with Mexico and Central American nations of Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. While there was some confusion over her role, the White House clarified that the Vice President Harris would focus on addressing the root causes leading to migration, rather than responding to the southern border crisis itself. So, basically, they're studying why they're migrating, which is ultimately going to end up with higher taxes and foreign aid. Come on, this is expected. They're going to say, just like they did $30 million to, I think, Pakistan or Iran for gender research. Come on. This is giving more American taxpayer money going to different countries because of a crisis Democrats can't fix. They're not even going to address the border crisis itself. Come on, please put somebody else in charge of this. Please. As a child of a migrant, legal, by the way, please send somebody better in this to do this, please. According to UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, as of October 2020, approximately 500,000 people have sought refuge in neighboring countries. More than 250,000 were internally displaced, they add. Widespread violence and organized crime compounded with the region's socioeconomic instability, poverty, and the main drivers for people to flee. The increasing presence of drug cartels and gangs called Maras threatens lives of thousands of people in the region who are forced to flee their homes and their own safety to protect the violence from, extortion. Forced gang recruitment and sexual and gender-based violence, SGBV, from those who flee, many of whom are women and children, undertake perilous journeys just to find a safe place to live. Okay, gangs are terrible. No matter what gang you're in, gangs are terrible, no matter what country. But again, if we let in any immigrant who wants to, who says they're not going to start the gang here? Who says they're not going to start gangs? That's why, personally, in my opinion, there should be legal immigration in a limited amount. Say we only let in 50,000 people per year. Not saying that's the number it should be. I'm saying that's an idea. Like, how many, there's a limit on people who can be accepted per year. Kind of like a college. Because, we're a prestigious country. You shouldn't have to pay to get in, but there should be like a list, not a list, but a requirement of people, like a maximum of people, because nobody wants, except for of course your Democratic politicians telling you what you want, because they know what you want better than you, to let anybody into the country. Who says who you let in the country is not, smuggling drugs or part of a cartel? Who says they're not part of MS-13? That's why I'm proposing. I mean, I can't really propose anything, but that's why they should propose maximum, refugees. Like, maximum refugees from, other countries, right? I'm sorry if it sounds really gibberishy right now. Kind of tired, but I'm doing it working hard, right? Asylum seekers, a legal term for meaning people who find requests to find sanctuary in another place that has not been processed, come to the United States, often passing through other countries on the way. In September 2019, the Supreme Court upheld a government decision that any asylum seeker who entered the U.S. after July 16th would automatically be denied asylum if they had not tried to seek refuge in the country they had traveled through on their way to the border. As mentioned, most migrants from Central America. This rule also impacted Cubans, Indians, Africans, and Venezuelans who may travel through several countries before reaching the U.S.-Mexico border. Migrants whose asylum claims are elsewhere rejected. Migrants who travel through countries who do not support human rights agreements and victims of human trafficking are still eligible to apply, however. And the majority of asylum seekers who accept those from Mexico will now nearly be automatically ejected, no matter the basis of their claim. Which, again, we shouldn't ban somebody because they travel through a country to get to our border, but we should just limit how many people get in. I mean, if you want to find a new place to stay, go to that country, right? But I'm not proposing don't let anybody in. I'm proposing, help with the, them coming and taking our jobs, hurting our economy, hurting the American people. No matter the hard workers or not, good people or not, we need to keep this country great. I'm not talking about just because they're Mexican. If they were Canadian, if they were from how do I say this? So, half my family's from Algeria. So, if they were from Algeria, I wouldn't let them in. If they were from the UK, wouldn't let them in. If they were from Germany, wouldn't let them in. Because we need to help America first. We're not a charity here, right? The impact. Okay. Since 1998, it was believed that more than 7,000 people have died while trying to make it over the border while crossing. At least 227 people died in 2020 along the Arizona-Mexico border, making it the deadliest year there. About 128 people died trying to cross from Arizona in 2018 and 2019. A car crash in California killed 13 people in early March after two SUVs crossed through a bowl in the border. Okay. Tongue twister. Crossed through a hole in the border wall in California. So people are dying trying to get through. That's how desperate they are. We need better reforms. We need to fix the system. Just like Trump did when he first started with the, travel ban. People say it was because of Muslim terrorism. It was just to help rework the system. Which was great. Absolutely great. In January 2019, the Trump administration implemented the Migrant Protection Protocols, MPP, known colloquially as the Remain in Mexico program. This initiative was extended just from California to the entire border. Rather than remaining in the U.S. to await their hearing, asylum seekers were sent back to Mexico awaiting their hearing. It is estimated that 65,000 asylum seekers went to northern Mexico cities along the border as of March 2021. There were about 20,000 people along the border waiting to have their claims processed. President Biden has committed to rolling back the MPP program. The first groups of people from the pledged 25,000 to be granted to the U.S. are still await trials to be processed in late February 2021. Others attempting the cross are still being denied access. However, the U.S. government is making an exception for unaccompanied children. In late March 2021, there were cases for reported of toddlers being dropped across the U.S.-Mexico border and a baby being thrown into a river on the border? This is crazy. Come on. I agree, because children are children. You shouldn't just have a toddler. Oh, because you're not from America, you can't get help. We should help the children, but when they come of age, such as 18, they should be taken back to their country of origin. If you don't know the country of origin, they can stay. I think there should be an age limit. If you drop a 10-year-old, and then once they're 18, they can go back, but if it's like a toddler, let them live in America, right? I mean, that's just my viewpoint on it. However, my viewpoint kind of contradicts my other viewpoints, so that viewpoint's invalid, in my opinion. But I'm actually not going to inquire that much into that, because kind of bad. So, yeah. That's going to be it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, please drop a like and a sub. Thank you, and peace.